back in the gym with BCD, Brandon Campbell. What's up, everybody? Hey, what's up? So it's Brandon. I am working on some squat stuff. I'm working on a lot of stuff this week after my last powerlifting meet and the push-pull meet that I did the other day. Looking at some of the video, there's a lot of stuff I want to focus on. So the first thing here I'm doing is on my squats. Now my back is pretty tight, and that's always good. Started a video with an excuse. So here I'm working on my low bar form. Now with this angle, it's a little bit of a diagonal, and what I see here, in my opinion, is I'm leaning a little bit too far forward. I'm not really getting the depth I want to get either. So that is something that's sticking in my mind. Now, as far as my depth goes, I'm usually pretty happy with it, even though if you watch these videos, you would think that I hate myself and I hate my form, which is not true. I just always am trying to get a little bit better. But you guys, again, can see from my IPA meet the other day, I was getting all white lights, which means passing on my depth. So I know that's not an issue, but again, with having a tight back and just trying to work on things, I found that I just wasn't really getting to where I wanted to go. So I appear to be kind of moving a little bit far forward. And I know in the low bar squat, you have your head kind of pointed down a little bit as is, but mine tends to point very low. And I know because a lot of you guys also tell me this fact, but also in my meet, the judge was even saying head up, head up, head up. And I don't want to necessarily overextend my head, but I really want to focus on keeping a neutral head because I think that's going to benefit me and kind of stop me from leaning forward as much. Now I really need to, again, sit back some and work on bringing the hamstrings in more a little bit. Now for this last set that I did here with a low bar squat, I actually decided to use knee wraps. I've never used them before, so this is the first time. They felt really awkward. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue to use them, but I might try to use them every now and then on my heavier sets just to help me with my training and progress further in heavier weights. But here you'll see the set itself. So as far as this goes, I'm not really sure if it helped or not. You know, I'm sure it did, but if anything, it was just in my mind that these are very uncomfortable and I can't wait to finish this because I want to take them off. So what I also wanted to do on this is I wanted to play a little bit around with a high bar squat because I haven't high bar squatted in a very long time. It's probably been close to a year since I high bar squatted last, and I wanted to just show you some of the differences in my form as far as when I go to the high bar. One of the things that you'll notice in the high bar, if you can't tell from this angle, I'm going to move it in just a second, is that I'm able to get a lot deeper on this. Now my stance is a little bit different, and just where the bar is placed and my elbows and my grip position, it does allow me to be a little bit more upright as far as my torso is concerned, which of course lets me get a little bit deeper. Now with this, even though you might say my form is a little bit better on here because again I'm getting below parallel quite easily in this case, one of the things that really throws me off with this kind of squat position is the fact that I'm just not used to the bar being as high anymore, and I find that it's very unstable on my traps. And even though I think I have traps that are pretty meaty, and I'm not trying to be a dick and brag about it, but my traps are actually one of my stronger points, so I know it's not an issue with traps, but it's just the balancing issue that I'm having issues with. Whereas on the low bar, I'm in such a position where I can't really move my arms or my bar, that it's very stable for me, and that allows me to bring in more leg drive, which I believe allows me to actually lift a little bit heavier. So that's one of the trade-offs here as I work on these squat forms. And again, I wanted to just try high bar because I haven't done it in a long time, and I think from this side angle here you will see exactly what I'm talking about as far as my depth. You'll find it's much easier to do, and again, using my excuse of having a tight back, breaking parallel a little bit more easily here. But again, it's just not comfortable, and I find my balance is off, and you'll actually see me start to struggle with some of this weight. So right here, I think this is 275, something that normally is very easy. Then I bump it up on this next set to 315, and I actually have quite a little bit of a hard time doing it here, which is somewhat demoralizing to me. But again, I know what I'm trying to do here is just work on stuff, so I don't really mind too much the fact that my weights aren't where I want them to be. I understand in order to actually progress in my form, I need to focus on working with lower weights. I think all too often, and I fall into this trap all too many times myself, is the fact that I try to use heavier weights just because from peace of mind, it gives me a lot better feeling, but my form breaks down a lot more easily when we're using heavier weights. You tend to overcompensate some. So for these form sessions, I try to remain a little bit lighter. So here you have 315. And again, this looks, in my opinion right now as I'm watching it, actually looks like it wasn't that hard, but during this actual session itself, I was struggling a little bit. So I bumped the weight up again. So from 315, we went to 365. Again, just working on not a ton of reps here because, again, I want to focus on form and just little things. So in between these sets, what I'm doing is I'm looking at exactly how my form is and what I need to work on, which is a pro and a con. It's good because I can see the differences between each actual set and say, all right, well, this is really what I need to focus on. This is what I'm doing wrong. And it's also bad because by the time I start to get to my later sets, there's so many things that I'm trying to work on that they all kind of just go to the wayside and I don't really do anything that I'm trying to do because my mind is all over the place. So going forward, one of the things that I've learned this week, as I've really tried to focus on stuff all this week, is that I need to just pick out one thing and just work on that one thing and realize that this is, you know, I hate to use the cliche that everyone else uses, that it's a marathon and not a sprint. So I need to really think about long term here. So those are some things that I'm working on for this. I hope you guys enjoy. Hope you get something out of it. Learn from my mistakes. In the meantime, thanks for watching. And as always, stay big.